Call to order. Regular meeting of the Ascension Parish Council, July 6, 2017. Please stand for the invocation and the pledge. The invocation to be led by Ken Dawson tonight.
Let us pray. Father, again, we thank you for the continued blessings you bestowed upon us, for living in a country, oh God, that has such a rich foundation that we celebrated, oh God, the July 4th, oh God, and we just give you praise and thanks for what you've done for this nation, what you've done for this state and this parish. We ask for your guidance, your strength, for your endurance, and Father, for your wisdom as we do the people's business so that we may do it well. As we come tonight, Father, we pray for one of our own, Bridget Marino, who is the sister of Barney Arsenault. We found that she lost a grandson, her husband's grandson, that drowned in a tragic accident at 5 years old. We ask that you bless this family, minister to them in their time of bereavement and need, for only you can comfort such heavy hearts. And we give you all the praise and glory, and we thank you for answering our prayers in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, tonight we're going to have just a short little presentation to honor 241 years of independence of our country. We're going to have three students come up tonight, and they're going to read portions of the Declaration of Independence. We have copies that are at the podium here if people in the audience would like to have them. So I'd like to call up tonight Paige Joseph, Kenshell Davis, and Rodnikia Mitchell, please. Did I say that correctly, Rodnikia? Okay. Good. And I'd like to kind of preface this to remind everybody that 241 years ago, 2 days after the Declaration of Independence, this was going on throughout our country, throughout the 13 colonies, that the new Declaration was being read in courthouses, it was being read in courtyards, it was being read all over those colonies. And so today would have been the first day that they would have disseminated that information, that they were now an independent United States of America. Thank you.
The unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. When in this course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitled them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impelled them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, diverting their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes the destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to effect their safety and happiness. Prudence, indeed, will dictate the government long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable, that the right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed.
We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America in General Congress, assembled appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do in the name and by the authority of the good people these colonies solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies and of right ought to be free and independent states. And for the reception of this declaration, we affirm our reliance on the protection of the divine providence. We mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor.
Thank you very much. So I'm not sure if, I guess no one else's parents are here, but we do have one parent here, I know that. And Mr. Oliver Joseph is the parent of Paige. And so thank you all for volunteering to come up and do this.
Thank you.
So we have a public comment period. If you would like to comment on any agenda item, there are some cards at the podium. And tonight we have the presentations, and Tamiko Stroud, and we have Mr. Ken Dawson will do those. Roll call. Thank you. I'll come back.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Council. I'm going to ask that Ms. Tamiko Stroud come up. President Matassa is absent tonight. He's healing from some surgery, so he wasn't able to make it, but he wanted to make sure that we had an opportunity to do this. And I think I've seen you winning some sports award, and you have been here several times in front of this council. Is that not true?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you become a regular, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, this is a proclamation honoring Ms. Stroud, and I will read it. It says, whereas Tamiko Torres Stroud is the 2017 salutatorian and distinguished honor graduate of Donaldsonville High School, and a 2017 Dean's Honor Scholar graduate of River Parish Community College with an Associate of Arts in Humanities degree, and whereas Tamiko Torres Stroud was the co-captain of the dance team and a member of the track team, concert band, National Honor Society, National Beta Club, choir, and Interact, and whereas Tamiko Torres Stroud is a leader in her community, serving as 3-term president of the Donaldsonville Mayor's Youth Advisory Council, vice president of the Louisiana Legislative Youth Advisory Council, charter member and secretary of the Young Voices of Ascension Galveston Club, a charter member of the Greater Baton Rouge Chamber of the National Congress of Black Women, and a member of St. Catherine of Sinai Catholic Church, and whereas Tamiko Torres Stroud was named a Louisiana Legislative Women's Caucus High School Woman of Excellence, Donaldsonville Area Chamber of Commerce Teenager of the Year, Donaldsonville High School Student of the Year, Zulu Social Aid and Pleasure Club Maid, and the Donaldsonville Sunshine Festival Miss Sunshine. Now, therefore, I, Kenny Matassa, President of the Parish of Ascension, State of Louisiana, by virtue and authority vested in me, do hereby congratulate Tamiko Torres Stroud and ask all the parish residents to join me in honoring and celebrating Tamiko for her accomplishment and her inspiring example of commitment and excellence. I can say that I don't know what time she had to go to school with all the things that she did, but she must have been a very busy young lady, and we congratulate you on all the wonderful accomplishments at such a young age. You want them to come up now?
Yeah. You stay up there, too.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, be good.
Just open it.
Yeah.
Just stand up.
Yeah.
Just stand right there, young lady.
Don't stand in front of you, Bill. right, thank you. I'll leave it.
Okay, brought to my attention, we didn't have a roll call, so, Madam Secretary, we have 5 members absent and 6 present tonight, so we have a quorum. Absent tonight are Mr. Dempsey Lambert is on vacation, Ms. Terry Castle is on vacation, Mr. Travis Turner is traveling with a ball team, Mr. Cluot is working, and Mr. Johnson is working. The parish president's report, do you have something, Ken?
I think that all of you have it in your packet. This supplement resolution is kind of self-explanatory. Basically extending the time to grant, forgiveness of fees, as related to permits for people dealing with the flood issue. So we just kind of need you kind of approve this resolution and move forward. I do want to say I've been instructed by the Planning and Zoning Director to make it known that that doesn't mean that you don't have to get the permit. You still get the permit. It's just it won't be any fees or charges for the permits that's required.
Okay, so we're looking for a motion to adopt the
Yes, sir.
resolution. A resolution,
Motion.
a motion by Mr. Cagnolati, second by Mr. Lambert. Any discussion? Any opposition? Mr. Satterley.
I'm just curious, Mr. Chairman, do we need to read this resolution into the record, or you can just vote on the resolution?
It was as submitted with the package. Is that correct? I mean, if if you'd like us to read it, we will.
No, I'm not
Okay.
chomping at the bit for that. I just wanted to be sure that the folks at home understand what we're doing here. This is the.
Then the building inspector has to please make sure that people are getting the permits, because if someone has a problem with the contractor and they don't have the permit and we go out there, we have no way to trace these people down. And even though the one that they were asking me about today, it was not someone who defrauded them, it just didn't do good work. But nobody had ever gotten a permit on the job.
Yeah. Well, I guess to summarize, this is to extend to November of 2017.
Yes, sir.
The no charges for permits for people whose houses were flooded.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any opposition? The resolution is adopted.
Thank you. One other thing that President Matassa asked me to convey to the council. He received a call from Senator John Kennedy today stating that Ascension Parish will receive $5.9 million in federal funding for debris-related activities undertaken as a result of the August flood. So we're all very happy about that at least we're getting some monies back for all the monies that were expended to assist the residents of Ascension. It doesn't mean that is everything, but that at least that has been released and we can put it back into the general fund. So
That's $5.9 million on debris removal, is that
yes, sir.
correct?
Related to debris removal activity. Okay, that's all.
I have a question, Mr. Lambert.
Ken, do you know how much? It was quite a bit more than that, right?
There's quite a bit more than that. I don't have the number. What
It was
actually was
close to
requested.
9 from what
I think
last
it's close
numbers
to
I've
9.
seen.
I wish I had Rick here to give me that number. I'm not sure what it is.
And we're
but at least that
expecting to
amount
get
is-
more for debris?
We should be getting more.
Okay.
Yeah, because from what I understand from what Senator Kennedy said, Parish President, this is not all. This is just what has been allocated at this time.
This would have covered it, if I read it correctly, it's about $6.4 million, and our share was 8%. I think they gave us 92% of that, and they've given us $5.9 million.
All right.
Not
That's
giving
all I
us,
got.
reimbursing us.
Not given.
Nice distinction.
Okay.
Mr. Lawler.
Two positions waiting to be filled, HR Director and Recreation Director.
We're working on that. We're working on it now. You should have a report at the Finance Committee meeting as a staff.
Okay, I'm not gonna be able to be at the Finance Committee meeting.
Okay.
So, I mean, Recreation Director, we've been doing this for how many months?
In fact, my understanding that for Mr. Pierce, who now has recreation, we will be meeting with some candidates, I think, next week.
Okay, when next week?
I have to get the exact date. I don't know if he's here. You know what date next week? But SSA is scheduling some meetings and interviews next week with that. I can give you a call and let you know when it's happening.
Okay, that'd be great.
Sure. Okay. All right.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dawson. Item number 7, consent agenda, adoption of June 1st, 2017 regular council meeting minutes. Item B, adoption of June 15th, 2017 regular council meeting minutes.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
A motion and a second to adopt the consent agenda. Does anybody want to remove any item from the consent agenda? Is there any opposition? Consent agenda is adopted. General business. Item number 8, resolution authorizing the parish president to enter into a multi-parish emergency mutual aid and assistance agreement between the parishes of Jefferson, Orleans, Plaquemine, St. Bernard, St. Charles, St. John the Baptist, St. Tammany, Calcasieu, Cameron, Vermilion, St. Martin, Iberia, St. Mary, Ascension, St. James, Lafourche, Terrebonne, Assumption, Livingston, and Tangipahoa Hoa for emergency mutual aid and assistance. Mr. Parrington.
This is an agreement we've always had through the Homeland Security Office that all the parishes have worked together, and we're just renewing it. They ask that we renew it every year.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Lambert, second by Mr. Cagnolati. Any questions? Any discussion? Any opposition? Resolution is adopted. Item number 9, resolution to retract the appeal of legislative auditor's decision to deny certification of the 2016 millage documents to set millage rates. And have me listed as this. This is to withdraw our appeal. So if you remember, the legislative auditor said we didn't do the millage adjustments correctly in July of 2016. We appealed that decision, but now, as looking into that further, this would, if we actually won the appeal, it would cause us to go back to the constituents or to the residents of the parish and rebuild them for the 2016 bills.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Joseph, second by Mr. Cagnolati. Any discussion? Mr. Sadler.
Yes, I assume we're not, Mr. Chairman, going to read this one as well. So my question would be, the fourth whereas in this particular resolution, I think has, well, it's not clear. It has a, if the word "it" means "if,"
That should have been changed. Was that, Senator, do you know? That, are you looking at it on Novus?
Yes. And also, it redundantly repeats the word "appeal," except in the first case it's present tense, and the second it's past, and it loses sense as a result.
You offer them an amendment?
I guess I could do the English if you like.
Yeah.
I would say that we need to approve this with the following editorial. It needs to be changed to "if" in the fourth whereas, so it now reads, because of possible hardships of the residents of Ascension Parish, if the appeal is continued, not "it" the appeal is continued. And then the Ascension Parish government is continued, I guess, insert by the Ascension Parish government. Actually, maybe I can. O'Neill, I'm not sure.
All you're doing is telling me to dismiss the appeal. I'm going to do that tomorrow.
I'm not sure of all your intention there. So by the Ascension Parish government, because of, instead of appeal the denial, because of the denial by the legislative auditor. Would that work? Just a simple because of?
I'm going to dismiss the appeal tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm just filing a motion to dismiss the appeal.
So those three changes, Mr. Chairman.
Gentlemen, did you get that? Okay. So we have an amended resolution. Is there, I need a motion. You have a motion to?
Yeah, I would make that as a motion, Mr.
A motion to amend the resolution. I have a second by Mr. Cagnolati. Is there any discussion? Any opposition? And motion carries. The resolution is adopted. Item number 10, bid item to accept the lowest responsive bid. Ms. Shivers. There she is.
On June 22nd, 2017, the purchasing department received 3 bids for Wayne Co. 3-line message sign with trailer and hydraulic lift. After review, the Department of Public Works recommend accepting the lowest responsive bid from Traffic Control Products and to authorize the parish president to enter into any applicable agreement or contract for this material, and those signs are funded by a grant.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Lambert, second by Mr. Satterley. Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion's adopted.
On June 20th, 2017, the Purchasing Department received 4 quotes for the Frank Sotil Pavilion addition. After review, the Purchasing Department and East Ascension Drainage recommend accepting the lowest responsive quote submitted by M&H Builders and to authorize the parish president to enter into any applicable agreement or contract for this service. And that project consists of constructing a new concession stand and fenced area at Frank Sotil Pavilion in Donaldsonville with a budget of $89,000.
Motion accept.
A motion by Mr. Joseph, second by Mr. Cagnalotti. Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion carries.
On June 29, 2017, the Purchasing Department received 2 quotes for the Ascension Gym leak. After review, the Purchasing Department and the Parish Recreation Department recommend accepting the lowest responsive quote submitted by Associated Waterproofing Corporation and to authorize the parish president to enter into any applicable agreement or contract for this service. And Ken will be answering questions.
Okay.
Question.
So we had, want to get a motion? You have a motion by Mr. Lambert, second by Mr. Cagnalotti. Discussion, Mr. Lambert.
I guess both this one and the previous one coming out of rec fund?
Yes.
Okay, that's all.
And just if you want a little background, what happened, they just did the replacement of the gym floor. And after they replaced, because the new gym floor was a little lower in height than the old, they found out that water was kind of getting on top of it. So this is just kind of seal that and prevent that from happening.
Further questions, discussion? Any opposition? Motion is adopted.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Let's make one announcement that I think is important. I forgot during the President's report
Sure.
to let you know. As you know, we always do. Mr. Lambert laughing. I get old. I forget sometimes, Mr. Lambert.
Know the feeling.
I guess all of you know that, some of you know that we're going through doing the brain-eating amoeba testing over in the water systems over on the West Bank. I'm proud to announce that none were found. The chlorine residuals were at a level that were above what was necessary, even at the maximum point of distribution. So I want to commend the utility department in their effort in doing so. Great job. I mean, everything was clean. So again, they did a wonderful job. Just wanted to let you know.
Thank you. That's good news. Item number 12, request Attorney General's opinion on charter revisions regarding whether changes require a charter commission or not relative to proposed charter change for employee appeal. Mr. Parrington.
Yes, when I was working on the, we have to do the submission to the Secretary of State. I spoke with the DA, and he alerted me to a 2003 Attorney General's opinion regarding our charter, in which they said a charter change by Constitution requires a charter petition. The legislature acted after 2003 to make a change, but if it's a constitutional issue, the legislature can't change it. We suggested to go to the AG and get the clarification on that issue.
Thank you. Okay, so we have a proposal. We have a motion, Mr. Cagnalotti. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Joseph. Discussion. Mr. Sadler.
Yes, on the time schedule that's in our packet, dated July 5th, is that, if we pass this motion tonight, is that a live schedule?
First time I saw the schedule.
That schedule was to get on the ballot in November. Is that correct?
That's the first time I saw it.
I put it in there. Is that
Well, we've already introduced the ordinance. The question is whether we pass the ordinance. We have to go to the next. This is a different. I spoke with the Secretary of State's office, and they said we have to have it there by certain dates. But and I don't know that date. She just told me as long as we. But if we went to the Attorney General, we have to get a response from them before we can go forward with it. But if it's wrong, we'll pay for an election that we won't have.
Right. No, I'm not. Thank you for that. I'm not interested in doing that, but I'm just curious that we can seek the opinion if it comes in time. Then the schedule can continue.
Yes.
It's a live schedule. If not, then we can end it by this council changing its mind.
In my opinion, they relied on the records of the Constitutional Convention to say,
Right.
and, it's not what the Constitution says, it's what the AG said the records of the Constitutional Convention said. So that's why, but Ricky and I talked about it and said if we make a mistake and we put it on the ballot and it goes to election and somebody contests it, then we're gonna eat the cost of that election.
Correct. Thank you.
So on that schedule, Mr. Sadler, we would have to have had the Attorney General's opinion, and we'd have to come back and have this ordinance introduced by July 13th in order to make the November ballot. So I put that in there just as a reference of
Right.
how long lead
So
time.
So it's live until we don't hear, and we're likely not gonna hear, and so it won't be live.
It'll just keep moving back.
Just
It'll
keep moving back based
down.
on when we do hear from the Attorney General.
Yeah, so I suspect, I don't know if the dates for what the dates are for 2018. Malcolm, do you have those?
And then when would be the next election? Well, Mr. Dugas is kind of...
That's what he's gonna get us. The election dates for 2018, Mr. Malcolm Dugas, our bond attorney.
The election dates for 2018 are March 24th of 18 and then April 28th of 18. And I think a rule of thumb is we need to start the process about 4 months in advance of the election date. So whatever date we pick, we gotta have at least 4 months lead time.
Well, would it be fair to say, I mean, we're saying that we have to have the ordinance introduced by July and for the November election. So to make the March election, that gives us 3 months or 3 or 4 months we have to have. If we get it within 3 or 4 months, we can make the March. If not, then we go to the next date.
Correct. I mean, if you're trying to make the March date, you gotta start in November.
Yeah.
We're likely, it sounds like it'll begin in maybe November, December, unless the AG can respond in a matter of days.
Mr. Parrington?
Well, I don't expect.
I'm sure he's paying attention even as we speak, and he's gonna do this tomorrow.
It's dated tomorrow, though. The letter's being mailed tomorrow.
I understand that. Thank you.
And the
Okay,
problem we have with that is it's a complicated issue for us because it says we have to put it on the next, by our charter, it has to be on the next election. So, that's what occurred the first time when we did this. There was nothing on the ballot. We'd have paid $200,000 for this.
Right.
Further questions, discussion? Any opposition? Hearing none, the motion is passed. Okay, planning and zoning, item number 13, appeal. Hudson Cove subdivision, PZ number 17-1188, major subdivision preliminary plat for proposed subdivision located on the south side of LA 42, approximately 0.8 of a mile east of LA 44, in Council District 5, zone medium intensity residential, denied by the Planning Commission. Mr. Parrington.
Passed on to the next month. There was an error in the advertising, and this possibility would end up in court. So I spoke to the attorney for Hudson Cove, and they agreed to continue to the next meeting, and we'll take care of getting that.
So I'm looking for a motion to postpone.
Motion to extend, it'd be extend, right?
No,
To be
defer or postpone.
defer.
Which one is it?
Defer. Okay, I want to make sure we got the right language.
I'll
Defer
second the
to the
motion
next
to
meeting.
defer.
Everything's fine, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so we have a motion by Mr. Joseph, second by Mr. Lawler to defer this to the next meeting. Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion carries. Item number 14, zoning review, IDPZ 1329.17-Z, located on the east side of LA Highway 44, approximately 150 feet south of Ethel Road, to amend the Ascension Parish zoning map from medium intensity residential to mixed use 2, District 11, Lot 7, Stafford Heights subdivision for Michael Matthews. To accept or deny, Planning Commission recommends deny.
Motion to accept planning and zoning
Second.
recommendation to deny.
Have a motion by Mr. Lambert to accept the recommendation of the Planning Commission to deny the zoning request. I have a second by Mr. Satterley. Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion carries to accept the recommendation of the Planning Commission. Introduction of ordinances. Introduction of ordinance to declare surplus and authorize the sale and/or transfer of miscellaneous movable equipment.
Motion to introduce, Mr. Chairman.
Well, motion by Mr. Lambert, second by Mr. Cagnolotti to introduce. Any opposition? Motion, the ordinance is introduced. Item number 16, introduction of ordinance, an ordinance authorizing the parish of Ascension, state of Louisiana, to proceed with a not to exceed $26 million financing through the Louisiana Local Government Environmental Facilities and Community Development Authority, authorizing and ratifying the parish of Ascension's request of the Louisiana Local Government Environmental Facilities and Community Development Authority to issue its revenue bonds, approving the appointment of a director thereto, authorizing the borrowing by the parish of Ascension of the proceeds from the sale thereof to construct, equip, and furnish a building to serve as the Ascension Parish Courthouse, and to renovate and convert any existing courthouse buildings and provide for the repayment of and security therefor, approving and ratifying within certain parameters the terms of the sale of the bonds, authorizing the form and execution of the loan agreement, authorizing the form of and execution of an agreement for the purchase of the bonds and ancillary financing documents, and otherwise providing with respect thereto. Mr.
Motion to introduce.
Well, motion by Mr. Lawler, second by Mr. Cagnolotti. Any discussion, any opposition? Ordinance is introduced. Item number 17, reading of the ordinance, Chapter 9, Finance, Taxation, Sharing of Sales Tax Revenues between the parish and municipalities generated by the properties. Mr. Barrington.
To amend the Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances, Chapter 9, Finance and Taxation, Section 9.5, Sharing of Sales Tax Revenues between parish and municipalities generated by annexed properties. Whereas the Ascension Parish Local Government Subdivision is defined by Article 6, Section 44 of the Louisiana Constitution, 1974. Whereas the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 9, Section 9.5 was adopted on May 7, 2009, and was amended later on August 21, 2014. Whereas the Parish Council of the Parish of Ascension desires to amend and supplement Chapter 9, Finance and Taxation, Section 9, Sharing of Sales Tax Revenue between the parish and municipalities generated by annexed properties. Now therefore be it ordained by the Ascension Parish Governing Authority that the Code of Ordinances, Ascension Parish, Chapter 9, Section 9.5 be amended as follows: deletions or strike through an addition or underline. Whereas the Ascension Parish collects an undedicated 1 cent sales tax, Ascension Parish Sales Tax District Number 1, and 1/2 cent sales tax, Ascension Parish Sales Tax District Number 2. And whereas municipalities within the parish also collect sales tax within the respective incorporated areas. Whereas these municipalities periodically annex property at the request of the property owner into the incorporated limits in order to provide certain services to the property. Whereas the parish believes the imposition of sales tax in annexed areas by both the parish sales tax district and respective municipality may discourage business growth and adversely affect land use planning and subject parish citizens to increased taxation on the purchase of goods and services. Whereas the parish government believes a sales tax sharing plan is essential to ensure the continued development of business within the parish and the orderly and appropriate development of land both within the parish and within the municipalities. Therefore, the parish of Ascension hereby ordains that the sales tax enhancement plan to be implemented, that the office of parish president is hereby authorized into such agreements as contemplated by plan. In all cases, developed properties were annexed in the past or annexed in the future, 50% of the net proceeds shall be collected and retained by the districts. The net sales tax revenue shall be those received by the district after accounting of all expenses of collection. Future tax is not affected. The plan is intended to apply only to existing sales taxes. Additional sales taxes may be levied in the future by any entity with such authority shall be entirely payable to the levying authority unless provided for in a sales tax enhancement plan entered into between the district and the municipality. This ordinance shall be in full effect as permitted by law. The ordinance has been submitted to a vote. The vote thereon was as follows.
Public hearing.
Motion open.
I have a motion by Mr. Cagnolotti, second by Mr. Joseph. Any opposition?
Motion to close.
I have a motion by Mr. Joseph, second by Mr. Cagnolotti. Close the public hearing. Any opposition? Public hearing is closed. The ordinance.
Motion.
I Have a motion by Mr. Cagney to move the ordinance. Second by Mr. Joseph.
Any question?
And Mr. Joseph has a question.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes, sir.
this ordinance from now on, there's no more special deals with no municipalities or nothing. It's 50% across the board.
Unless y'all come back in a mini ordinance.
All right, 'cause this ordinance here, I've been here for 12 years. We've amended this ordinance, Ty, how many times?
Quite a few.
Quite a few. This is it. I'm not voting no
Unless
more
you're a
on
mini
it.
ordinance, that's all I can say.
I'm just done.
Mr. Cagney.
Just for general clarification, I guess, I served on the city council, and there was always some dispute about when we annex property into the city. Donaldsonville's gonna be growing, as industry grows here. I think this is fair and equitable for all sides, and it's probably overdue, because it was 75-25 imposed, and so I just think this is the right move in the right direction, and I hope it stays that way. Thank you.
Further discussion? Any opposition? Ordinance is adopted. Item number 20, reading of ordinance to declare surplus of 2007 Jeep Liberty.
To declare surplus and authorize the sale and or transfer miscellaneous movable equipment, whereas the parish of Ascension has certain assets there that are no longer viable to retain, whereas the assets are no longer served or have any public purpose, whereas the parish of Ascension desires to declare said assets as surplus and provide for the sale or transfer the name the same. Whereas be it ordained the Ascension Parish Council acting in its capacity as the governing authority hereby declares the listing of assets attached hereto and made a part hereof as Exhibit A as surplus and authorizes the sale and or transfer the same. In the event any portion of the ordinance is ever held invalid or unconstitutional by any reason by any court of competent jurisdiction over it, such portion shall be deemed separate, distinct, and independent provisions shall not affect the validity of remaining portions of the ordinance. The ordinance shall be kept full effect as permitted by law. The ordinance has been submitted to a vote. The vote thereon was as follows.
Public comment.
Motion by Mr. Sadler, second by Mr. Lambert to open the public hearing.
Motion to close.
Motion by Mr. Sadler, second by Mr. Joseph to close the public hearing.
Move the
Hearing is
ordinance.
closed. Motion by Mr. Sadler, second by Mr. Lambert to move the ordinance. Any discussion? Any opposition? Ordinance is adopted. Reading of ordinance item number 23 to amend the personnel policy section 5, working conditions, auto usage. Mr. Barrington.
To amend section 16.1 of the Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances adopted by the Parish Council on June 20th, 1996, adopting an official personnel policy for manual for the Parish of Ascension. Whereas the Parish of Ascension, through the Ascension Parish Council in lawful session, passed an ordinance adopting official personnel policy of the Parish of Ascension. Whereas the original ordinance established a uniform system managing personnel matters to assure compliance with applicable federal, state, and to provide for standard terms, conditions, and employment of Ascension Parish. Whereas the manual is in need of revision, now therefore the Ascension Parish Council hereby authorize the amendment proposed by the Human Resource Department submitted to the parish president, attached hereto and made a party of as Exhibit A. This exhibit is available for review in the office of Ascension Parish Human Resources Department, 114 Nickel Street, Donaldsonville, Louisiana, 70346. The effective date of the ordinance shall be full effect as permitted by law.
Public hearing.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Lambert, second by Mr. Cagney to open the public hearing.
Motion to close.
Motion by Mr. Sadler, second by Mr. Cagney to close the public hearing. Public hearing is closed. Ordinance.
Motion to move.
Motion by Mr. Cagney to move the ordinance. Second by Mr. Joseph. Any discussion? Any opposition? Ordinance is adopted. Item number 26, reading of the ordinance budget amendment number 3 to amend the 2017 budget. Mr. Farrington. Thought we were finished.
In order to amend the ordinance approving, adopting, and appropriating the 2017 operating and capital budgets for the Parish of Ascension adopted by the Parish Council on the 17th day of November 2016. Section 1, the Ascension Parish Council hereby ordains that the ordinance approving, adopting, and appropriating the 2017 operating and capital budgets for the Parish of Ascension is hereby amended, approved, and appropriated as follows. Capital budget, road construction fund, engineering, pre-construction services for Move Ascension Transportation Initiatives, expenditures, engineering fees, $4 million. Office building construction fund, engineering services for design, roof repairs, expenditures, engineering fees, $50,000, contract payments, $100,000. Water, wastewater construction fund, engineering, evaluation, development of East Bank wastewater systems, expenditures, engineering fees, $150,000. The ordinance has been submitted to a vote. The vote thereon was as follows.
Public hearing. Motion by Mr. Lambert, Second by Mr. Joseph to open the public hearing.
Motion to close.
Motion by Mr. Joseph, second by Mr. Lambert to close the public hearing. Ordinance.
Motion to accept the ordinance, but I have a question.
I second it for a question also.
We have the motion by Mr. Joseph, second by Mr. Lambert to adopt the ordinance. Question by Mr. Joseph.
Might be the same.
No, you can keep yours, I got it. Engineering fees on $150,000 for, the East Bank water, wastewater system. Exactly, what is that? I mean, we have done some work on that?
That's the technical assistance that we need to, for projects and for different things associated. It's not any one project, but it's just to provide technical.
Okay, so that's all our sewer system, treatment system over there, and
Yes.
that 22 project too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, any technical assistance that we need for any projects in utility, water, wastewater, that's what this.
Okay.
Mr. Lambert.
What about the, road construction fund engineering costs? What is that for? I know it says for the, move Ascension,
Yeah.
$4 million for.
That's because the initial estimate of the amount that the bond would generate would be close to a certain amount, and then it was looking at the engineering fees that were associated with carrying that number of projects. Okay, so it's not that we're going to use all that; it's just that it's the amount that could be associated with the total amount.
That's the percent of what the total
That's
amount
percent
is
of the total
used
amount.
for engineering fees.
Yes, engineering fees to do the design and everything for road
Okay.
projects.
All right.
Yes.
Mr. Cagnolati.
Is that for the top four that were on the priority list?
Yeah, we're going to go through the priority list of the top four, but that's it's not
That
all
gets it
inclusive.
started?
More, it'll cover more than just those top
Okay.
four.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess
Okay.
he answered the question I wanted. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't the same contract, I mean, the money for the company we got for the master plan.
No, that's different. That's different.
Further questions, discussion? I have a motion and a second to move the ordinance. Is there any opposition? Ordinance is adopted. Item number 29. Move to adjourn by Mr. Cagnolati, second by Mr. Lambert. Adjourn.